May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy.
Welcome to Unity on this Sunday before Valentine's Day. We've got a little Valentine's nuts in here. We've got our little teddy bear. We've got flowers on the table. We've got goofy cards. Remember when you made your Valentine boxes at school? So I went and found some of those goofy Valentines. And we've even got, thanks to Dave, plenty of candy, plenty of chocolate. So everything that Valentine's should be. But we remember, we've got to have love all year long, that's for sure. So welcome Zoomers. We don't have any first timers. It's a gorgeous day. My God, when you woke up, did you see that blue sky? So there's no excuse to stay under the covers today. I hope people will be coming in soon. So I'm going to begin with my beginning because it gets me grounded. I connect to the earth. I connect to myself and feel the vibrancy in my heart. I connect to this community. I connect to my teachers, to the Unity movement, and to all that is. And we say our opening statement together, there is only one presence
and one power
active in my life and in the universe, God, the good, the omnipotent. I swear today's daily word is compassion.
Oh, wow.
It really is, and that's the talk. We had compassion part 1 last week, and we're doing part 2. And I look up and I went, oh my goodness. And I love it. If Sandy Rose were here, we always talk about the synchronicity of the daily word. It's always a good word, but today we say acts of loving compassion warm my heart. So regardless of the form of my compassionate action, and there are so many forms, I'm motivated to be of sacred service. I'm going to lean into the principle of love, generosity, and benevolence to bring love, compassion, and care into manifestation. And I've been seeing that happening a lot. I've been focusing on that in my life. I hope I have inspired you with these couple of talks. Because if you have that intention, you'll really be surprised at what happens. And it feels good to have a warm heart instead of to be downhearted, for sure. With Unity, we have affirmative prayer. That's the very least we can do because it sends out such good vibrations in the world. And we think of it as starting with ourselves, opening our hearts. God is, I am, I can, and I know, and then I appreciate, and it is done. So, well, that's just the rundown in it. Let's actually do that. So let's take a moment. We all were so busy making the tables fun and getting ready. So take a breath. We open our hearts and minds to the lessons, to the principles that we know, to the truth that we know. We remember who we are. God is life, love, and wisdom. And we manifest those qualities of life, love, and wisdom. We manifest imagination and zeal and strength and order. We have everything we need. And I can truly manifest compassionate thoughts, words, actions to warm my heart, to warm this world and all those around me. And even beyond, we have no idea of the power of our energy and prayer. And I appreciate that we're having fun today celebrating Valentine's. I appreciate this community, the energy that's been building on the midweek. We've got spirit groups. We've got Wellness Wednesday. Something good is coming our way. And so it is. Amen. Amen. I couldn't resist Burt Bacharach, so enjoy the song. Oh my goodness. That brings me, I know I've told y'all this, but it brings me back to Hall High School Auditorium in 1970. At the end of a talent show, we went around with paper flowers and this song, and we were flowers. We were handing out flowers. I remember that. And I really listened to Burt Bacharach's song, soundtrack of my life. But he gave so much melody to the world. He was talking about, he really wrote complicated music, and he knew about composition and all. But but his songs, they were always memorable, you know. And some people say, it's easy listening to music. It's way more than that. No, that was Henry Mancini.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's many good songwriters that have been in the world. So, but it's a great way to kick off this idea of living compassion beautifully. So, just a real quick recap. So we talked about, in unity we have the power of love. And the power of love is magnetic desire, harmony, and unity. It's not just the emotion of love. And the good news about this principle is it's inexhaustible, that's one thing, and it pulls me into every circumstance, good and bad. And this is an important one I'm going to kind of come back to this a lot. Situations are not just being sent to me. I go into all the circumstances. I track myself to the details of my life. You're going to hear that. For love, the light of love wants me to shine, to heal, to transform, to unify, and to harmonize. So that's the power of love. That's one of the bases in our unity movement. Well, you're sometimes work. And so I just call compassion is love in action. But it's all about connections, and that's what our mantra is this year. I am connected. And when you're connected, when you're really connected, compassion is natural. It really is. If you separate, if you pull back, not so much, but connection and compassion. And then I shared with you about my teacher, Robert Gonzalez, these two beautiful books. And Robert said, compassion is the opening, welcoming, non-judgmental, spacious awareness of the heart. Spacious awareness. When we discover and open ourselves to the quality of being, we just simply live the compassion. Not just live, but live compassion and love. And it liberates the energy caught in suffering. It sees all obstructions as life longing for fulfillment. Now, Robert had a diagram, and we want to remember this today, because in unity we say this all the time. I am fully human and I am fully divine. And in our essential self is everything we need. It's all the divine qualities. They're there. We don't have to really seek like we think we do. But we might long for these qualities if they're not being expressed. That's what we have to remember. And they become longings and yearnings of the heart. But if we're talking about being fully human, these longings really kind of are thought of as needs and values in our lives. So that's that process of unfolding. We are fully human, and then we unfold, and we are fully divine. Now today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Buddhism. So, this is Tara Brach. Maybe some of you all have heard of her. She's a wonderful meditator, and she's written many books. One of them is Radical Acceptance. The one I have up here is Radical Compassion. Richard Rohr has said Sadly, but understandably, the virtue of compassion is more closely associated with Buddhism than Christianity in some people's minds. They really do a compassion practice. Tara writes that compassion is our capacity to relate in a tender and sympathetic way to what we perceive, instead of resisting our feelings of fear or grief. We embrace our pain, our own pain, with kindness and self-compassion. It's the kindness of a mother holding a child. Rather than judging or indulging our desire for attention or for chocolate, we regard our grasping with gentleness and care. Compassion honors our experience. It allows us to be intimate with the life of this moment as it is. Compassion makes our acceptance wholehearted and complete. So it means to Tara to be with, to feel with, to suffer with. That idea of relationship, everything's really about relationship. That's really where we live. You know, we're meant to be in relationship and to interact. And the classic Buddhist text describes compassion as the quivering of the heart, a visceral tenderness in the face of suffering. You know, I bet you all have felt that, with certain scenes. Or yesterday, Beverly was telling me about somebody at Unity of Dallas, and I could feel that quivering in my heart. I was thinking, oh, I felt a sadness. So I felt that. In the Buddhist tradition, one who has realized the fullness of compassion and lives from compassion is called a bodhisattva. The bodhisattva's path and teaching is that when we allow our hearts to be touched by suffering instead of resisting it, and it could be our own suffering or another's, then that's when our compassion flowers. The bodhisattva's aspiration is simple and powerful. May all circumstances serve to awaken compassion. When we are going through, no matter what we're going through, may it awaken that compassion, clear and limitless compassion. Now that goes back to our quote about the power of love. I walk into all circumstances of life. As love, I go into all circumstances and attract myself into the details of my life. For love, that light of love again wants me to shine, to heal, to transform, to unify, and to harmonize. So you see, we did that series this summer where we looked at all the religions, but there is a lot of intersectionality between Buddhism and the Unity movement. Chogyam Trungpa, it's not so easy. I mean, I'm talking about compassion like, okay, we just do it. But we know it's not easy. In fact, Trungpa has called it the fundamental anxiety of being human. The fundamental anxiety of being human. And I don't know if you remember the poem I played a couple of weeks ago, Being Human, comparing it to the earth, and it said, do rainbows hide and be shy, wondering if their colors match? Is the rain scared to fall? It's so funny what human beings go through, the angst that we go through when the natural world is just beautiful and is. We should look at that. So, what do you choose when you feel the anxieties? But we could say, rather than being disheartened by the ambiguity, what if we just accepted it? This is being human, and we relaxed into it. What if we said, yes, this is the way. This is what it means to be human. I'm going to enjoy the ride and embrace the totality of my experience in loving kindness. What if we did that? Not easy, but what if we just set that intention? I'm telling you, once you start it though, you'll do it more and more. So, Now, among the Buddha's most important instructions related to this idea of this ambiguity that we have and this anxiety, three things, three vows. Do our best to do no harm. Be good to each other in thought, word, and deed. Commit to helping others. This is where the compassion really comes in. Dedicate your life to keeping you have to keep your heart open and your mind open to nurture that compassion. And then the last one is resolved just to embrace the world as it is. We want to make certain things better, there's no doubt. But if we fight against it all the time and take positions, there's where the suffering is. We need to see everything we encounter, good and bad, pleasant and painful, and it's just a manifestation of some awakened energy. And honestly, a lot of things that have come up since 2016, 2020, I think it really has awakened us. You know, it's really given us the impetus to what we need. We got to make sure we're awake, we're not asleep, and just trying to go along with the status quo. Now, I put the book there, and I brought it today. Pema Chodron is one of my favorite authors, and this beautiful little book is about these three vows. It's called Living Beautifully. So, now Pema offers this beautiful, spot-on practice for mystic warriors. Remember last week when I showed about Elizabeth Lesser, she called herself a mystic warrior. Sometimes we say spiritual warrior, but it's sort of the same thing. It's that idea of being practical and fearless and fierce, but also remembering our divinity and who we are, and just combining that power. And her practice is, it's real simple. Be fully present, feel in your heart, and greet the next moment with an open mind. Can you imagine if you woke up in the morning, and I bet Betty does this every morning. You know, you wake up and you go, all right, here I am. Oh, let's see, what do I see? What's in the world today? You start hearing birds, because they're coming out now. You see that whether it's raining or the beautiful blue sky, you just get really present. Put your hand on your heart. Feel your life energy. Be grateful. We're here. We woke up again. and then just get out of bed and be ready for the next moment. Can you imagine? So having connected to what is with love and acceptance, you just go forward. You can just take a leap. Get out of that bed. Leap out of that bed. I don't really leap out of the bed.
That might hurt something.
Might hurt something. So, the mindfulness is waking up to pay attention to the details of our lives. That's it. When we're present, we are mindful. We really do see the details of our lives. And with the commitment to not cause harm, we move away from reacting in ways that cause us to suffer. We begin to appreciate our world and free ourselves from some of that suffering. Again, embrace the totality of your experience. What is here now? So this first commitment, the one about do no harm, it's a vow to know your triggers, actually. Because guess what? It's from your triggers that you react. And you might say, even just talking, it's kind of violent sometimes, right? You might have a thought. You might even have an action. So we know our triggers. It's a vow to compassionately acknowledge when you're hooked by the 8 worldly concerns. So I had to look this up and think, here's what it is. There's a case, there are kind of polarities like loss and gain. Do you have a fear of loss or a hope of gain? Is the pain, do you have a pain of being blamed? Are you experiencing the desire to be praised? Are you clinging to happiness? And it's good to be happy, but then when we attach ourselves to it, are we pushing away suffering? Do we strive for fame and to be recognized and known? Or do we fear insignificance and being invisible? And you know, I thought, that really sums it up. I'm sure that we could have a bit more, but that just right there sums up what we go through sometimes on the downhearted side of being human, you know? And if you, like I told a story last week about getting in the middle of some friends but underneath what there's a lot of anger, but underneath it, I could hear a fear of loss, a fear of being insignificant, the pain of being blamed. I could hear all of that underneath their anger. You know, so this is really something to consider, the 8 concerns. So maybe you'll take that with you. Yeah, you gotta ask yourself, who's in control here, me or these 8 worldly concerns? Is the world out there or in my control? Well, really it's you. You just gotta remember this. Okay, now the second commitment, this is where compassion lives. It's also known as the Bodhisattva vow, and it challenges us to move consciously into the pain of the world in order to help alleviate it. It's a vow to take care of one another, even if it's uncomfortable. Compassion is threatening to the ego, actually. When I say the word compassion, you may feel like it's all warm and cuddly. But it's actually very raw. Because to give compassion, you have a vulnerability. When we stand in another's shoes, when we aspire to never close down to anyone, we quickly find ourselves in uncomfortable territory of life not on my terms, you know. So you're living in that uncertainty when you are allowing for the compassion. When you take that bold step to give, to offer someone and to hold them, you don't know what's really going to come back at you. You really don't know. So, Travis, let's take these commitments and NBC to action. Travis and I are going to do a little skit for you. Now, this is another teacher. I didn't meet him personally. It's Marshall Rosenberg. And he's the one that really started the nonviolent communication movement. And we used to have some of his books in the bookstore, but, you know, there are times when I just go back to the source. And so I picked that up this week and I found these scripts and I called my buddy here. And so we're gonna play. Now here, I gotta set it up for you. Okay, we've just gotten in a cab together. We're sharing the cab, I don't know, from an airport or whatever. And what's happened is the dispatcher has called the cabbie and he said, you need to pick up Mr. Fishman at the synagogue on Main Street. So what did you say?
These kikes, they get up early every morning just so they can screw everybody out of their money.
Okay. Now forgive us for using that language, but let me get it in Marshall's head. Marshall said, well, for 20 seconds, there was smoke coming out of my ears. In earlier years, my first reaction would have been to physically hurt such a person. Instead, he got present, took 2 deep breaths, connected to his heart. He gave himself some empathy for the hurt and the fear and the rage that he was feeling. He was feeling stuff. And he attended to his feelings. And he really did feel triggered. You know, he heard that, and I've been there, where something is just so unjudged, I feel a volcano, like a righteous indignation just rising in me. In fact, Marshall said, I might have even enjoyed the image of grabbing his head and smashing it, or just slapping him. But I knew that wouldn't receive the kind of understanding that I needed. And my experience told me that if I were able to empathize, then he would be able to hear me in return. See, I couldn't change that moment, but I needed to kind of shift things around. So I said, Ma, are you feeling frustrated? It appears that you might have had some bad experiences with Jewish people. Is that true?
Oh, Oh, yeah, what are you talking about? These people will rip you off in a moment. I've been ripped off, they'll steal from you, they'll do it to anybody. That's all they care about, taking care of themselves.
Well, you feel distrust and the need to protect yourself when you're involved in financial affairs with them, is that right?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, I've had business dealings with these people. You've got to read every fine detail of that contract because they are always looking for a way to get you over the barrel. And these people, don't you know, these are the people that are running the banks. That's why our inflation's so high and the interest rates. They're running Hollywood, all of these leftist liberal agendas. It's all these, it's not you. They're the ones doing it.
Wow. Now, what Marshall did, I knew you were good for this. What Marshall did is he didn't listen to the story. You know, he didn't get caught up in that. Instead, he heard the guy's fear of dealing with these people and anger. And then he thought about the common humanity. He said, when I hear that he's scared and wants to protect himself, I recognize how I also need to protect myself. And I too know what it's like to be scared. At least I could connect to that. When my consciousness is focused on another human being's feelings and needs, I can see the universality, the common humanity. That's the issue. I had a major conflict with what was going on in his head, but I wasn't listening to that, especially with the folks who have these kind of thoughts. I've learned to savor life much more by hearing what's going on in their hearts. So he was listening maybe to the fear, maybe that may have been underneath an anger. Well, the man kept going on, and we know Travis. Give a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and if you just study history, like they got this victim consciousness because of what happened in World War II. They think they deserve it forever, and you know, it's just not right. It's just not right. We're a Christian society, by God.
So Marshall said he let that go on. You know, he just let the guy get it out. And then he said, you know, when you first started to talk, I felt a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and even sadness and discouragement, because I've had very different experiences with Jews than you've had. And then I was wanting you to have much more the kind of experience that I had. Can you tell me what you heard me say?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not saying they're all bad. I mean, there's some good ones out there, but...
Well, no. Excuse me. Hold it. Can you tell me what you heard me say?
Well, it sounds to me like you're telling me I shouldn't feel that way, that I know I shouldn't have said those things, and I shouldn't have those ideas, and maybe you're telling me I'm wrong.
No, let me repeat what I'm trying to say. I really just want you to hear the pain I felt when I heard your words. It's really important to me that you hear that. I was saying I felt a real sense of sadness because my experience with Jewish people has been very different. I was just wishing that you had some experiences that were different from the ones you're describing. Can you tell me what you heard me say?
Well, it sounds like you got sad whenever I said those things, and I didn't mean to make you sad, and you know, and I guess really when I think about it, those were pretty hateful things for me to say, and speaking out of my own prejudice, and I could see how someone might even think I was a racist for saying things like that.
So he kind of got to it. He kind of started to hear a little bit, but I'm still not sure you connected that, you know, what you were saying was painful to another person. You know, I mean, I'm not you personally, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what did y'all hear? Are you thinking, oh, good God, I could never do that? What are y'all thinking when you hear this?
When we hear who?
When you hear the dialogue, were you hearing, obviously it was a little different tactic than saying, oh, you shouldn't do this. You know?
Mm-hmm. So, you know, I have to say that I have a client that I've had for like 2 years.
Uh-huh.
And she started out, honestly, you said some of the same identical words and sentences that she repeated. That was her whole life and attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's taken 2 years, but yes, to say, I hear the pain and I hear the loss and the feelings of insignificance, and to get her to understand that. And she really related to the poem that you gave out.
Oh, yeah?
Does the sand feel insignificant?
Uh-huh.
Does the ocean feel sad when it goes up on the shore and then gets pulled back again and lost? Those 2 sentences she felt so related to. But, so, yeah. And it was an effort for me too, I've never had anybody who was as blatantly so furious with the world.
Right.
But
That's,
it was a real lesson for me to not react and to, I'm not supposed to do that anyway. So
right. And it's hard in that circumstance.
I don't have a trial like that.
Right.
But by hearing, just by hearing that, she feels insignificant, she feels unimportant, she feels like everything she accomplishes just gets wiped out again, or she feels like she's important and then the ocean gets pulled out
See,
again.
the worldly concerns. I'd never thought about that poem. In NBC, we say you need a vocabulary of feelings, and a lot of people just go happy, sad, angry, But that poem
It's-
gives you a way for people to express, and then by your knowing that about her, then it just shifted you, didn't it?
Yeah, and see, I gave her that poem because, I copied that poem and gave her a copy.
Okay.
And asked her to read it out loud, and she did, and it just
Wow.
really was. So, now it's after 2 years of her learning and practicing and trying. She's trying, I give her a lot of credit.
Wow.
She's tried.
Yes.
I've tried too.
But that just almost sounds like it was a shift, maybe a breakthrough, but at least a
A
shift.
shift, and that's what we call it, a change of course.
Yes.
A redirection, rewire your attitude.
Yep.
Brene Brown says, change your story, but that's kind of broad.
Yeah. I really love that example, and that there was a lot of compassion in that, because you could have just said, I can't have you as a client anymore. I can't listen to this.
There was
that was a
time I
choice.
thought, I can't go. I sort of felt that way.
Yeah.
But didn't have enough sense to quit anyway, so.
Thank you for that, Betty. So I think we might be able to do the next one, but I'm going to say this. Now, again, we're coming back to that 3-step practice. And if you think about, because it's really simple. So first, you just get present with what is, flash on what is happening with you right now, be fully aware of the energetic quality and the sensations. And that takes practice, because so many of us stop right here at the head. But if you really become embodied with your feelings and everything, connect head to heart, you can be aware of those thoughts and feelings, and you can feel the sensations. Then feel your heart. And this is sort of like I'm remembering who I am. And you can say, this is my experience right now, and it's okay. I said, ow. This is my experience, ow, but it's okay. And then we just leap into that next moment. And what's interesting is something will rise to you to try, And I don't know, you might have been thinking of doing that poem before, but let's just say, you say, oh, I wonder if we use this, what would happen? And how cool, that's so great. Well, now, we have another scenario. We love doing this. So this time, okay, I was the NBC person. I'm gonna let Travis speak. This is a father and a daughter. And the daughter has taken a car from her friend's father. She and her girlfriend took out Jorge's car. He was a family friend. And and they went on a joyride. And it's so funny I'm doing this scene because I got to tell you, I didn't even teach my son how to drive. He sat all the time and took joyrides. Oh my God. So anyway, I could have used some of this advice. But what's happened is the dad has recently been practicing in BC. So let's go ahead and let's do this scene. Go ahead, Travis.
So, Jeannie, I hear you, Eva, and Dave took Jorge's car out without asking.
No, I didn't.
Don't lie to me. It'll only make it worse. Then I remember I gotta connect to my own feelings and needs in order to stay connected with my daughter. You sit here for a minute. I need to think. So I go inside myself and I recognize my anger, that she's lying to me, and I recognize my fear. I'm scared. Is she gonna turn out to be a troubled teenager, and is she doing drugs or is she drinking? I'm recognizing all of that, and Bill, I should have known better. What a liar he's become. I get scared when I think of all the consequences of Jeannie's actions, of her own misjudgment. That was stupid of me to assume that she knows better. Someone could have gotten killed in this. Oops, I need to translate these labels. Stupid and liar into feelings and needs. For stupid, I guess the feeling is I'm disappointed in myself. I really feel disappointed. I would have liked to have, I would like to think I've taught her better. And as for liar, I'm feeling pretty scared because I want to be able to count on her to tell me the truth and to be honest with me. Okay. Jeannie, let me ask you a question. Are you worried that you'll be punished if you gave me incorrect or inaccurate information?
Or accurate, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, you're always so mean whenever I do anything you don't like, so I just don't tell.
So are you saying you would like to have more understanding and fairer treatment from me than what you do?
Oh, yeah, sure, like really, I'm gonna get fair treatment and understanding from you, yeah, right.
So to myself on the inside, man, do I get angry when she says that. Can't she see how hard I'm trying? I really need a little respect on how hard this is. And I guess I also need a little caring of how scared I'm feeling. Jeannie, it sounds to me like you're worried that no matter what you say, you won't be treated fairly.
What do you even care about treating me fairly? When something happens, you just want someone to punish. Besides, what's the big deal? Even if we did take the car, no one got hurt. It's back where it was. I mean, this is not a major crime wave.
Well, Jeannie, are you scared that there'll be some harsh consequences if you admit to taking the car? And you won't be trusted that you'll be treated fairly?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Allowing some time for silence and connection to go deeper? Well, what can I do to give you that reassurance?
Oh, yeah. Promise to never punish me again.
So I'm aware that punishment will not help Jeannie to develop the consciousness around potential consequences of her behavior, but will only contribute to greater disconnection and resistance. So I expressed to Jeannie, I'd be open to that agreement if you agree to stay in dialogue with me. That is, we talk until I'm satisfied you're aware of all the possible consequences of you having taken the car. However, in the future, if it happens that I'm not confident that you see the potential danger of what you're in for, I might still use force, but only in order to protect you.
Wow, great. It really feels good knowing I'm so stupid you have to use force to protect me from myself.
So silently losing touch with my own needs. Man, there are times when I could just kill this little kid. I'm so furious when she says things like that. It really seems like she doesn't care. Damn, what am I needing here? I'm needing to know when I'm working this hard that she at least cares. Out loud. You know, Jeannie, when you say things like that, I really get pissed off. I'm trying so hard to stay with you on this, and when I hear you say things like that, look, I need to know if you even want to keep talking with me.
Oh, I don't care.
Jeannie, I really want you to I really want to listen to you rather than to fall into my old habits of blaming and threatening you whenever something comes up that I'm upset about. But when I hear you say things like, "It feels good to know I'm so stupid," in the tone of voice you just used, I find it hard to control myself. I could use your help on this. That is, if you would rather me listen to you than blame you or threaten you. Or if not, then I suppose the other option is just to handle this the way I've been used to handling things.
And what would that be?
Well, by now I'd probably be saying, "Hey, you're grounded for the next 2 years. No TV, no car, no money, no dates, no nothing."
Oh, no.
Is that-
Well, I guess I want you to try the new way then.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you see that. See the sense in that sense of self-preservation. I'm glad to see that sense of self-preservation is still intact. Now, I need you to tell me whether you're willing to share some honesty and vulnerability.
So they finish out the dialogue, but he starts to talk about the consequences. And of course, the kid says, "I didn't think of that. You know, I didn't think about the car. There could have been a wreck. Someone really could have been hurt. I could have gotten in trouble with the law, you know." And then he realizes that her friend got punished. And she said, "Well, hey, this sounds to me," the dad said, "it sounds to me like you're hurting inside, seeing the effect your decision has had on your friend." And you know, well, yeah, I care about that. And you know, that's really what happens a lot with kids. It's sort of thoughtless. I mean, it's just adolescent brain, you know. But anyway, I think that was kind of an impressive dialogue. It's so hard for a parent to stay centered instead of just
Yeah.
reacting. So, but notice there was a lot of self-compassion in that he had to keep kind of going. He had to be aware of what was going. In fact, you see, Marshall has the giraffe and the jackal. So the jackal is the all the bad voices, and the giraffe has one of the biggest hearts in the animal kingdom. So, but there was a jackal show going on in your head, but you knew it, and so.
And you know, and I want to say, you know, I have a daughter, and I have actually been in this scenario with my daughter where we're talking about something, and she's saying all these things, and I'm just feeling myself getting triggered, but I'm remembering my NVC. I've been practicing NVC for years now. And I want to also say with the first script, when Jeannie sent me the script and I read over it, it triggered me. I thought, well, I don't want to be this racist guy saying all these things. That's not who I am. And I thought, I don't want people thinking I'm that way. And then I realized I'm not that way. This is just a role play, so I can just let myself, you know, it's just nothing to it. So I didn't get at first I thought, well, does Jeannie think I'm this way? Is that why she's letting me read this? No, of course not. It's self-empathy that, you know, because we get triggered in ways that, I mean, I wouldn't think you to get triggered by that at all, but.
Yeah, that's why I had to make sure I let you be the father.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there a point that when the father showed a little vulnerability, was that what broke through to the child?
I think it was because the father honestly showed his struggle that with what he was doing. He said, "Look, I really want to try a new way. I don't want to blame you. You know, I really want to try a new way." Right.
I really want to do this.
And I think the kid, and it took all of that. It was kind of a long script, but it took all of that to get the kid to be able to talk about really the consequences that he needed to look at. And so,
And possibility.
So, y'all, that's another thing that about this. It takes time and patience. And I just really do want to say, we're not going to wake up one morning and be perfectly compassionate. We are perfectly imperfect. And that's the thing about these commitments. And there is grace. If you, so to speak, break one of these commitments, then just stop a minute, be kind to yourself, and renew your commitment. Just renew it. So we need, when we break a commitment to take care of another, we simply can't mend it. We can renew it.
It's okay.
And it's okay.
Jeannie?
Yes.
I'm an old man.
No, that's okay.
But I just want to say, speaking of compassion, on the news this week about that state trooper who stopped and the young man was in a car by the side of
Oh,
the road
yes.
crying.
Yes.
It's all over the news.
I saw that.
And he said, "What's wrong?" And the boy was crying, and so he said, and he didn't shoot him, and he didn't arrest him, and he said, "Can I do it? Can I do something for you?" And the boy said, "You could give me a hug." And he said, "Well, you got one right here." And I'm so glad, and he hugged him, and the boy gave him a helpline.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was, the interview was shown on CNN, I saw this on Anderson Cooper, and he gave him the helpline, and so they interviewed the state trooper and said, "How did you do that? What, did you not know he was dangerous? You didn't think he was dangerous?" He said, "No, I'm an ex-Marine, and I have been where that boy was, deeply crying, hurting." He said, "That young man was deeply hurting, and I recognized it from myself."
Out of humanity.
And it was my wife. He said, "When I got out of the service, it said to me, 'You need to go get some mental help.'" And he said, "I did." And so that's how I recognized it. And so he said, "I'm meeting again with that young man again today. We're just going to have coffee."
How wonderful.
Oh, wow.
It's
a great story.
A wonderful compassion example.
Yes.
Just when we needed it most.
Right.
Really and truly.
Just when we really needed it most.
And yes, and we don't want to paint the police one way or another. So it's always good when we hear these good news stories.
Right.
Because I always say goodness prevails. And man, thank you, Betty, for bringing that example. So, so the idea, you all, is to return to the practice. Come back to those 3 steps. First, come into the present. And then feel your heart. And then leap into the next moment. So it's like observe, listen, and feel the guidance of your heart, and then move. So in our efforts to keep this commitment, it helps to give ourselves a break and remember the enormity of the task. Because there are unimaginable, limitless opportunities to practice and keep the vow. We can't run out. For me, this is when I remember Unity's second principle, that we are divine. I can relate to the divine in you. I can drop the human storyline and remember who you are. So it's a practice though, you guys. Now reality is always falling apart. In this fleeting situation, the only thing that makes sense is for us to reach out to one another. It is said that when we make this commitment, it sows a seed deep, deep, deep in our unconscious, deep in our mind and heart. It never goes away. So once you begin it, it's just easier and more easy, and it just gets easier to fall back. So we have those setbacks, but when we falter, we renew the commitment, we move on. And if you think about it, the awakened ones on this planet, they're human too. How do you think they cultivated the patience and forgiveness and loving kindness and compassion that they have if they didn't have exactly the struggles we did? It's just they got really good at it. They got really good at keeping the vow. So in Unity, our most powerful tools, affirmative prayer, meditation, and then there's other practices like Tonglen and Metta. These are Buddhist practices. But I say the very least we can do is do our own practice, because it sends out that energy. And then even this group today, I guess everyone's going out to Valentine's for lunch, I don't know, but I'm just so glad you all are here, because we are powerful no matter what the number is. Now, the Dalai Lama has said we need a little more compassion, and if we cannot have it, then no politician or even a magician can save the planet. It's really up to us. And in the meditation this morning, I'm going to do Tonglen a little bit. And Shogam Tapa said, the problem with most people is that they're always trying to give out the bad and take in the good. Tonglen is a practice that reverses this. It's a breathing practice. So first you breathe in the bad, the difficult, the yucky, ugly, and then we breathe out beauty and spaciousness. So I'm going to be guiding you in that this morning. And remember that compassion is not a matter of pity or the strong helping the weak. It's a relationship between equals that are fully human and fully divine. And it's one of mutuality. So practicing Tonglen, we come to realize that other people's welfare is just as important as our own. And helping them, we help ourselves, we help the world. And that's what true with Tonglen, affirmative prayer, affirmations, whatever positive practice we do. So let's come to it's been a fun morning. Let's come to a compassionate meditation. And by the way, this is the symbol, this is not Om, this is the symbol for metta, loving kindness in Sanskrit. I thought that is really beautiful. So,
I would like to ask who decorated these beautiful tables.
well,
Did you do
I did it, and so did and Dave brought all the candy. Isn't that wonderful?
It's real flowers.
Yes, isn't that fun?
Cool.
So nice. Can we,
It's all for you, sweetheart. And I think Dave may want you to take some home.
For sure. Take home candy bar.
And then hang around after the prayer protection. I've got a little surprise, and I'm really glad that he's here. You're all gonna love it. So but for the moment, let's take this moment and slow down. Breathe into your heart and exhale and connect to the heaven and the earth. You are loved. Breathe into your heart and then expand out through your arms and hands. Enfold the world in love. You are loved. You love the world. Feel the vibration of life in your heart. What longings are vibrating in you? What is your heart telling you? What arises in you? How will you be? Where will you leap into the next moment? Imagine yourself leaping into whatever it is. In this time of peaceful contemplation, immerse yourself in the unconditional love that joins our human family together. It's manifested as our power of love. So join me in this practice of Tonglen. Take a moment of stillness. Now, even if this feels counterintuitive, as you inhale, think about the condition of our world and breathe in hot, heavy, thick energy. a feeling of constriction, pulling in, claustrophobia. Take that into your heart. Breathe it in completely. Feel it enter your body. And with the power of love, exhale and breathe out a sense of freshness, of cool, light, bright energy radiated around you 360 degrees. So it's just breathing in and breathing out. Think of those images. Breathing in the hot, sticky mess. With the power of love, exhale fresh and cool and light, bright energy. Continue this for a little bit. Now breathe in a specific painful situation, opening to it as fully as possible, and then breathe out the spaciousness and the relief. Continue breathing in and out, and you can extend the Tonglen further to family, co-workers, our community. At the moment, I'm thinking I'm breathing in the ugliness of the Tyree Nichols in Memphis. And breathing out the love and compassion of the policeman who gave a boy a hug. You can breathe in the bombing, the destruction in Ukraine. Oh, we could breathe in all the horror of this disaster in Turkey. The people who are desperate to find their loved ones. And we breathe out lightness, seeing so many people all over the world flocking to Turkey to help. joy and miracles of the people they do find. Feel the power that you are. You can hold beauty and pain at the same time. And we breathe out the spaciousness, the lightness of energy. We radiate. And so it is.